If you want to smell like a vampire, this video is for you. I have here my top picks if you want to smell like a spooky, beautiful, stone cold vampire. This video is inspired by a similar video I did last week where I talked about my top 5 perfumes if you want to smell like a witch. It was one of those fragrance videos that I just had the idea for and I filmed it and I put it out. I wasn't expecting that many people to like it as much as you guys did. So it was definitely a fun video to engage with. So many of you left comments on it, and it was fun to chit chat in the comments section about what you guys think is a witchy perfume and suggestions that you guys had. So inspired by that, I decided to create a part 2 to the series, and today we're going to be talking about vampire perfumes. If this is your first time on this channel, hello, my name is Anya. I absolutely love fragrances and I talk about them here every single weekday. And I also publish videos on TikTok and Instagram as well if you're interested in seeing more content. But here we have everything from super affordable to more niche options when it comes to fragrances. And a lot of these perfumes were actually recommended by you guys. And I was digging in my collection. I came up with these decants and full bottles, and I was like, I have to do a video talking about these fragrances in, this context. So without further ado, let's get started. So this first perfume was actually recommended by one of you. In that previous video where I talked about my favorite witchy fragrances, Melinda actually shared her recommendation for a spooky season fragrance, and I saw that and I was like, hold up, I have a decant of that fragrance and I already love it so much and I need to include it in a video, and that is Bloody Wood by Liquide Imaginaire. Thank you very much, Melinda, for reminding me of this because it's actually a fragrance that's been on my full bottle wish list for quite some time now. And preparing for this video, I couldn't find this fragrance because it was somewhere like in my millions and millions of decants, and I was so scared that I couldn't find it that I was like, you know what? I need to get myself a full-size bottle because I cannot go through this again because I was so worried that I lost it. But this is truly such a unique and beautiful fragrance. So Liquide Imaginaire, they're a niche brand and their inspiration is creating fragrances that also have a bit of like an alchemy twist. So if you look at their bottles, I'm going to flash a photo of one of the bottles on the screen so you can see, but they're kind of inspired by goblets. Like, it's a very interesting way of designing, and I absolutely love this particular fragrance, Bloody Wood, because it's actually inspired by red wine, but the way it's executed is way more approachable than you might think based on the name and based off of the fact that it is inspired by red wine. I do really, really love it. It's essentially a fragrance with top notes of red wine, rose, and violet, a mid of red wine, cherry, fruity notes, and raspberry, and then a base of woody notes, oak, and sandalwood. This fragrance comes off as a lot more sparkling than I initially anticipated when I first tried this perfume, and it's such a bright and zesty fragrance with that wine note that gives it a more unique edge. I really, really like this one. Let me spray it on. Yeah, I love this perfume so much. It makes me happy. It's such like a bright and zesty fragrance. But the red wine gives it like a, I won't say savory twist. It gives it a more unique twist that I love. This is such a good fragrance, and yes, a brilliant option for spooky season perfume, but I personally think that I can definitely picture like a vampire using this fragrance, especially with the way the bottle looks. Yeah, this is this is one of the ultimate spooky season perfumes. I really like this a lot, and I probably will be getting myself a full bottle sometime soon. Angela actually brought up 2 fragrances, and she talked about these perfumes being witchy, but I'm kind of going to cheat a little bit and include them in this video because I do think they could technically be worn by a vampire as well. But these 2 fragrances are Aura by Mugler and Nirvana Rose. These are 2 of my treasured perfumes because unfortunately they are both discontinued. I think Aura is a lot easier to get than Nirvana Rose, but both of them I think I got on Fragrance Net, so they're not impossible to find, but they're just discontinued. So I do treasure them, and I already have a backup of Nirvana Rose because of how much I love it. Oh my gosh, this perfume is so beautiful. This is amazing. And yeah, I do think these can be worn by a vampire. They're like, at the very least, spooky season perfumes, and they're very unique fragrances too. So let's get into Nirvana Rose first, and this is actually a very simple perfume if you look at the scent pyramid, but the way it's executed is absolutely gorgeous. From my recollection, this perfume has notes of rose, geranium, and vetiver, and this to me smells like an aromatic rose. And I think that comes from the vetiver. This is such like it's like a darker take on a rose scent. It's not what you'd expect from a typical rose fragrance. It's very unique and a beautiful fragrance for those like cloudy kind of dreary days when you want something that's a little bit darker, but still something that has a bit of floral nuance to it. This is such a beautiful fragrance, and I love this perfume. I already have a backup of it. I have a very personal attachment to this particular fragrance because the very first time I ever went to Paris, this was my signature scent for that trip. So whenever I smell this perfume, I'm instantly transported to basically, yeah, that first trip to Paris because I had wanted to go to Paris literally my entire life. And then I was able to make my own dream come true. And this fragrance inspires me. Like, this fragrance reminds me of that trip. And yeah, I love this perfume. I treasure it. Like I said, I have a backup. It's a backup in a larger bottle because I cannot function without this perfume. Like if I lost this perfume, I don't know what I'd do. I know it sounds so dramatic, right? But this is such a gorgeous perfume, and yes, I do think it can be worn by like a vampire. And there are actually a few fragrances in this video that have floral notes, that have rose notes, because I do think that rose is one of those fragrance notes that very much fits into this theme. But moving on to Aura by Mugler. Now, technically, oh my gosh. Technically, I am cheating a little bit because I do think this could possibly fit more for a witch, but I want to include it in this video because I had this perfume already in my collection and I can't just overlook this because I think it's one of those unique dark scents that's perfect for spooky season as well. Again, I cannot believe I missed this when I was originally talking about the witchy fragrances. This has just been one of those perfumes that I've like kept hidden away because my discontinued scents are kept separate from the rest of my collection because I just want to make sure that they're like in their boxes, that they're away from sunlight, that they're not going to get damaged. And since I do videos like these on the internet for you, I want to be able to share with you mostly fragrances that are not discontinued. So yeah, this perfume is a very interesting fragrance. I'm going to pull up the notes, but this is a fragrance that is a green woody vanilla perfume with top notes of rhubarb leaf and bergamot, a mid of green notes, orange blossom, ylang ylang, and pear, and then a base of bourbon vanilla, woody notes, amberwood, sandalwood, and coumarin. This perfume has an almost like a medicinal quality to it. It's one of the more unique scents in my collection. There's really nothing that I've smelled that comes close to what this smells like. And this perfume actually does very well in humid climates. So if you happen to live in a humid climate and you're looking for something with a really beautiful and gorgeous sillage, this is insanely good. It's such a beautiful fragrance. I received compliments on it, particularly in humid tropical climates. I love this so much. It's a very unique fragrance, and look at the bottle, by the way. The bottle I absolutely love. I remember the campaign for it when this fragrance first came out in 2017, I believe. It's such a gorgeous perfume, and I think the juice has darkened in my bottle over time because this is a vanilla perfume, and vanilla perfumes do tend to darken. So yeah, I love this perfume. It's like a jewel. It's amazing. So the rest of the fragrances that were recommended, I actually don't have decants or full bottles in my collection. So if you want to get those recommendations, definitely go to the comment section of that previous video that I was mentioning. There were so many good recommendations in there, but I can't really speak to them since I don't have them in front of me and I also have never tried them. But I'm going to move on to a fragrance that you probably are super familiar with already. This is Navitus Venom of Love. I had to include like a gourmand boozy fragrance because I kind of feel like, you know, like let's include something gourmand. And if I had to choose a gourmand perfume that embodies like the vampire aesthetic, I would choose this one. It's like it's like a boozy, chocolatey cherry perfume. It's very beautiful, very appropriate for the fall and winter time, especially with top notes of sour cherry, liqueur, bitter almond, a mid of cherry, chocolate, Turkish rose, and Egyptian jasmine, and then a base of almond, amberwood, vanilla, and whipped cream. I know I talk about this perfume a lot, but genuinely, this has been one of my signature scents this fall. So yeah, I really want to include this in this video as well. I don't necessarily think it's appropriate as a witchy perfume, which is why I did not include it as a witchy perfume. I think it's more appropriate for like a vampire, seductress, kind of like that sort of thing. So yeah, Venom of Love by Navitus. I love this one. I almost forgot. So Kristen actually commented poison, and I'm not sure, Kristen, if you meant like pure poison or poison by Dior, but I have pure poison, and your comment reminded me of that. So this is the kind of perfume that I think would actually be kind of like a beautiful scent for a vampire that seems innocent, but is a little bit like more, you know, more up to speed than you would expect. So like I grew up with the Twilight vampires, so this perfume is the kind of fragrance I would probably expect Alice to wear. I'm like a super nerd when it comes to the Cullens and when it comes to the Twilight universe. Like I don't get me started on that. That's a whole other topic. But I think that the Cullens, they seem like so, you know, nice and welcoming, but the reality is they're all kind of selfish and they're all vampires. That's like the short end, the short version of that. But I think Alice in general, she comes off as like very bubbly and very nice, but really she kind of treats Bella as like a doll, like a living doll. And she kind of doesn't let Bella have like her make her own decisions or have her own agency. So in a way, she's kind of like innocent and bubbly on the outside, but then like when you scratch the surface, you find out she's actually a bit manipulative. If you disagree with me, let me know. Let's chat it out in the comments. But I feel like that's the kind of vampire I picture being like or wearing pure poison. So pure poison, let's get into the notes. This is a very like heavy white floral perfume with a clean musk that I actually really do love, and it does happen to be one of my most worn fragrances. As you can see, I wear this constantly. This perfume is like a fragrance that has uh, jasmine, orange, bergamot, and Sicilian mandarin at the top, a mid of gardenia and orange blossom, and then a base of sandalwood, white amber, cedar, and white musk. So, like I said, this smells to me like a clean white musk with florals. It's a really beautiful white floral perfume. If you're kind of nervous about trying white floral fragrances, this is one I'd start with. I really, really love it. And yeah, I think it's good. When I was looking for fragrances for this video, I was in my decants. I was in my decants, in my samples. I wanted to find fragrances that I haven't necessarily talked about on here for a while. And one of those happened to be Frederic Malle's Lipstick Rose. Now, I have this decant and a few samples of Frederic Malle fragrances. If you know anything about Frederic Malle, you know this is like niche. Their fragrances are quite expensive. The two that I love the most happen to be Lipstick Rose and Musk Ravager. Both of those fragrances really want to have full bottles of them at some point, but that's not anytime soon. But Lipstick Rose to me felt like a really interesting vampire fragrance because this is one of the most interesting photorealistic lipstick scents I have smelled, and it's a really interesting play on the rose note as well. So this perfume has notes of raspberry, lychee, grapefruit, bergamot, lemon, galbanum, and green notes at the top, a mid of iris, violet, rose, heliotrope, lily of the valley, and cloves, and then a base of vanilla, amber, white musk, leather, patchouli, cedar, moss, and vetiver. So this perfume smells like an old lipstick. So I think like old 90s lipstick smell, like, or 2000s actually as well. This is like an old school lipstick perfume, and I really do love it. I treasure this decant. I really don't wear this perfume that much because I just keep it as a kind of like a relic to like reference. But yeah, if you want to splurge a bit, Lipstick Rose, such a beautiful scent. Yeah, it smells like a super powdery lipstick. This is the kind of scent that, like, if I had the full size bottle, I would overspray this because it's one of those perfumes that it's not like, how do I say this? Because it's so powdery, it's not gonna be like the fragrance that's beast mode. Um, it's actually a little bit subtle, so like you can see, like I actually do have to like put it rather close to my nose to smell it, and I just sprayed like 2 or 3 sprays, but it's so beautiful. Yeah, this is definitely on the wish list. It's one of those fragrances that I've known about for quite some time, and I really, really love it. Yeah, it's beautiful. I really like this, and yes, I can definitely picture a vampire wearing this as well. It's like one of those darker rose scents. It's dark because it's powdery, but it's at the same time not like gothic. It's just an old school powdery lipstick scent that I really quite like. Next is a fragrance by Lalique, and I have not used this fragrance in quite some time now. Yeah, this is a vampire man. This is a vampire man who has been alive for a while. This is like one of the. I feel like Marcus would wear this. Marcus from Twilight. You guys know the Twilight vampires. Marcus or Klaus from the Vampire Diaries. If you guys watch the Vampire Diaries, Klaus, I think Ezra, they're the originals, they're the oldest vampires. Ezra is like more of like a guy in a buttoned up suit. I don't know if he would wear this. He would probably wear something that had more leather in it. Klaus is, the wild child. So I feel like he would wear this. I really, really like this. If you like vetiver, this is a vetiver bomb. And yeah, I do see like a male vampire wearing this. I mean, obviously, like anyone can wear any one of these perfumes. But when I think of the kind of vampire in my head that would wear this, I'm thinking a guy. And this perfume has notes of cypress, resin, and bergamot at the top, a mid of Haitian vetiver, incense, and orris, and then a base of benzoin, sandalwood, and patchouli. So this is a very like earthy, interesting perfume. Um, but yeah, I really like it. If you want like an affordable grassy patchouli, this is a good one. Encre Noire à l'extrême. I have like the big bottle of it. Looking back, I kind of wish I'd gotten the smaller one because I don't really wear this that often at all. But I don't really want to declutter it because I genuinely like the way it smells. It's nice. I really do like it. So I recently got a package from a brand that's rather new to me. They're called Olfactive Studio, and they sent over some samples and a full bottle of one of their fragrances. And two of these perfumes, I think, very much embody that kind of dark alternative vampire aesthetic. The first being Flashback in New York. This is a spicy, earthy perfume. It's very, very interesting. And I do think it embodies this theme quite well with top notes of cumin, saffron, linen, and sage, a mid of leather, violet, and jasmine, and then a base of birch, papyrus, vetiver, and tonka bean. So this perfume, I've worn it a few times already. It's a leathery perfume, so you get a kind of like that clean leather. It's not that animalic, but you do get a lot of cumin. And I think with the papyrus and the birch, this perfume comes off as like a bit savory and earthy. It's a very interesting fragrance. Definitely recommend trying it if you're into earthy fragrances. But I also actually, since I've tried a few of these perfumes, definitely would recommend getting a discovery set from this brand first, because this is one of the more unusual brands that I've smelled, because the way they play around with their fragrances is quite avant-garde. And there's actually another perfume from them that I've worn a few times this week already. I have it in this little sample form, and I really, really do like it a lot, actually. If I had to go back, I would definitely choose to get this perfume over Flashback in New York. I like Flashback in New York, but I think I might love this one. This is called Smoky Soul. And let's pull up the notes here, because I do think this is an interesting one because it has some of those earthy aromatic elements, but it also pairs it quite well with like a floral element that I quite love. So this perfume, and I sprayed it on my hand here. The dry down is quite interesting. So this perfume has top notes of Chinese osmanthus and black pepper, a mid of black tea, Indian jasmine, and Turkish rose, and then a base of Java vegetable oil, seaweed, and Indonesian patchouli. This perfume combines all these elements quite well, right? So you have that earthiness, you have like that light herbal touch with the tea. I love the rose in here, and there's the osmanthus provides it with like a fluffy floral fruitiness that makes it a very versatile perfume in my opinion, and this performs quite well. Like 2 sprays was all I really needed for a few hours of wear, and that's pretty impressive. So I've been working through my sample. You can see this pretty much already halfway through, and I do think this perfume very much embodies like that kind of like dark alternative energy that I associate with a vampire aesthetic. In general, this brand completely new to me. I'm really interested in exploring some more of their fragrances, so you will be hearing more about them. But I did think that these 2 particular fragrances very much fit into this whole video's theme. But those are all the perfumes that I have to share with you here today. I'm hoping you enjoyed this second part in my spooky season perfume series. If you didn't watch part 1 with the witchy fragrances, do check that out. I really did enjoy filming this one as well. So if you have any thoughts on any one of these fragrances, or if you would like to suggest more vampire-esque perfumes, definitely leave a comment down below. Let's chat about it. But yeah, thank you for watching until the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time. Bye.